Well, you know what they say. Absolute power speaks louder than words. I'm sorry, what? So Lucy repeated it. You know that saying. Absolute power speaks louder than words. She was right, of course. Absolute power does speak louder than words. However, I had never heard a single soul say it. But the pen is mightier than the sword, so perhaps if she wrote it down or threw it against a wall, it would stick. So how many jumbled figures of speech did you count in that little opening? Language is tricky stuff. And if you confuse sayings like absolute power corrupts absolutely or actions speak louder than words, it's trickier still. I had to figure out exactly what Lucy was saying, but it was absolutely worth it. And she had a point, a really good point, arguably either way she phrased it. Learning to see things this way has become my greatest weakness and my greatest strength. And perhaps I remembered this time with Lucy because on this Shepherd Sunday, I found myself returning to this text and thinking, what is Jesus really talking about in the Gospel of John? And what does this mean? And in this current situation, how does this really apply? This memory may also have come to me quite honestly because in verse 6, the text says, Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they didn't understand what he was saying to them. So I knew I was in pretty solid company. You have to enter the sheepfold by the gate, and then you can be the shepherd of the sheep. However, the shepherd then tells us that he's the gate or possibly the gatekeeper, and we have to beware of thieves and bandits, and we're going to know his voice as the shepherd or as the gate. And all of this leads to abundant life. So what does that really mean? It's kind of hard to put together. There's just all these mixed metaphors, or, well, now I just mixed a metaphor because I'm talking about figures of speech. Maybe I'm just making it difficult because as I encounter this Shepherd Sunday every year, I really think there's got to be something else we could preach on. But staying with the lectionary practice of faith means we don't just get to choose the good and easy texts that make us happy. We have to take the texts as we get them, and even those that we turn our noses at, we got to roll our eyes, and how else do we expect to learn anything? Don't struggle with it a bit and put forth effort to understand something differently. And it's wanting to understand something differently that's the key to getting the text and the teaching in John's Gospel. Knowing that the author is using a figure of speech means it's not to be taken literally. It's pointing to something beyond itself. This figure of speech takes us out of our rational, logical, intellectual mind and asks us to engage with ideas, to ponder, to play with images, maybe dance with the divine a little. And in this case, we're invited to know ourselves and know the great I am. And that's how we will find life abundant. It's the greatest weakness and the greatest strength in the Gospel of John. The other three Gospels tell the story of Jesus' life in a particular way. They are fairly concrete, operational, systematic even. That's why we call them the synoptic Gospels. They have similar stories, similar wording, similar order, as if there were a system to it all. John's Gospel approaches this story telling us about Jesus differently, inviting us to a poetic style, a spiritual approach. John's Gospel has different stories. Jesus gives signs like the wedding at Cana and uses these I am statements, just like the one we have. I am the Good Shepherd. And for people who are comfortable with concrete operational functioning, checking things off a list, and who want to leave church on Sunday with a clear to-do outline, this text can be challenging in many ways in modern Christianity. And I think we need to face the truth that we've gotten very good at this sort of approach in Scripture, in preaching, and personally in my life. We're good at that systematic, synoptic gospel type preaching. We like being in control, having this to-do list with our Christian faith. We like being productive. We're human doings more than human beings. And really, there's nothing wrong with that in some ways. We're very good at texts that say come from Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. We enjoy the section, perhaps from Matthew 5, that proclaims, "You are the light of the world. A town or a city on a hill cannot be hidden." It's easy for me as a clergy person to proclaim the ways that we, as followers of Christ, have the light within us. We're able to let that light shine. In fact, we're called to let that light shine. And it's true that we are called to do that. And it's easy for us. We want to help others. It's good to do this as followers, as disciples. I find it easy to use my pencil and paper to make a list of things I can do to serve others, because I want to be the church, not just be inside a church. I want to do this. I think we all want to be the church in this way. But John's Gospel for today doesn't say, "You are the light." These are the I-ams where John is saying, Jesus is saying, I am the light. I am. John's Gospel is not about us. These figures of speech are different than a simple phrase that would proclaim something like Jesus saying, "I'm the good teacher, and you're good students. You should take really good notes, study really hard. You can master this. In fact, you can get a master's in this. And when you do, you can go out there and conquer this with your minds and all of your efforts." Jesus never once said that. In John's Gospel, Jesus also didn't say something like, "I'm the chairman of the committee, and you're on the committee, and we can really organize this. And if we meet regularly in person or somehow digitally online, and we assign all the tasks in the next 2 to 4 weeks or 2 to 4 years, we can accomplish this." But if we look at how we operate in the church, we're really good at functioning like Jesus said that, at least on some level, if we're honest. And from our youth all through adulthood, at least on the surface, we do function that way. I remember attending a youth conference retreat about being peacemakers. The structure and the theme and the teaching, it was right. at its core and at its heart, we are to be peacemakers. But when looking in the brochure and going back and looking more closely, the hidden agenda, that null curriculum, was that I was to be that personal pathway to peace. Well, yes, but also no. There's a component missing there, and it's a biggie. And as an adult, I attend conferences titled things like Revive Us Again, which is good and right and true and needed. But I read the fine print about having a reconnection and looking forward to the future with hope. And the final line, leaving fully revived once more for the ministry ahead. They already know that the work will be accomplished. Being revived again is not just a prayer to God. It really is this technique of human action and interaction, designed to bring around and about very specific result. And this can happen. It's our greatest weakness and our greatest strength. I do wonder what the writer of the Gospel of John would have thought about these conferences. Again, it's not that there's anything particularly wrong or ill-planned or even fully unsound in the theology as far as they go. We are the church, and we are followers of Jesus Christ. We're called to go out and serve, to inspire, to let our light shine, and to be who Christ has called us to be. This is true. It is our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. But as followers in the text today, it's about perceiving in some way all of the texts we are given. Hence my struggle. Because in truth, to acknowledge the Good Shepherd is to acknowledge that I have to be a sheep, and I don't wanna. It means I have to let go of some things. And while I may have some experience, I'm not someone raised around a lot of sheep, I don't know a whole lot of things. That side, what it means is I just really trust. I have to trust something or truly everything. And that's the rub. Jesus as the shepherd, or even Jesus as the gate, Jesus as the gatekeeper. No matter which of these figures of speech I examine, they point to this truth. I am not the answer. I have to let go of control and fully put my trust in the one who is. My ability, the ways that I work with others, wanting to problem solve, my call to be a disciple, all of these things that we can do, they're just simply not the answer. I have to release control of my life and realize there's something bigger going on. This text takes me out of my comfort zone in the exact moment and time that it is fitting and right so to do. It is time to realize there's something bigger happening. We're not in control, and we do need to trust the Good Shepherd. The writer of John is clear that Jesus did not come simply to teach us our behavior just a little bit, to the right or to the left, up or down. Jesus didn't come to be the good therapist. He didn't come to help us only see systemic racism or systemic sexism or systemic fill-in-your-ism in society, and then to have us go fix it and it's all going to be hunky-dory. He came to make it clear that we're sheep and God is the shepherd, and that's just how it is. We're not in control of everything. It's God's job. We can't fix everything. That's God's job. We can't do everything. That's God's job, and we can't bend the world according to our liking, no matter how much we're liking to do that. There are some things we just have to hand over to the one who's willing to lay down his life for the sheep, should it come to that. And that's our greatest strength. If we choose to acknowledge that we are weak enough to need it. And strangely, being taken out of my comfort zone is precisely where I can find that strength and my only hope. Searching far afield in the field for this divine image of God, the Good Shepherd, I only need to be still enough to listen for the voice and then to respond when I hear it. Trusting that one who calls. When working through this text, I was invited to know myself and to remember some things about myself in a time when I was much more attuned to that listening, to recall times and places when I was known, deeply known, and to think of those times when I responded in ways just as perhaps those sheep would have. All that is very much inside of me. You see, when I was young, my sister Laurie, who's 7 years older than I am, went away to college. And as college, she came home for some kind of visit or break, I don't know. But it was Laurie's idea, my parents' idea, whatever. They kept this as a surprise from me. In the car with my mother, we are driving into the parking lot where Laurie is standing at a car. I hear her say my name. The car is still moving. I hear my sister, who basically raised me, say my name. I am out of the car. and running toward my sister. I'm just that dumb. You have to work and train a dog to get it to jump out of a moving vehicle. Little sisters, we're out of that moving vehicle. Yes, I fell. Yes, I had cement all in me. I simply did not care. My big sister called my name, and I jumped out of a moving vehicle to run into her arms for a hug. Now, my family knows better than to keep secrets from me. I've trained them well. But all of those emotions, all of that that is within me, is my greatest weakness and my greatest strength. The one who calls me by name, I will respond, even if I jump out of a moving vehicle. Frontal lobes have to develop, but still that instinct in sheep, in this sheep, is there. And realizing that reaction, knowing who I am, because I trust the great I am, I trust the one who's calling my name that much. Lucy, absolutely right. Absolute power speaks louder than any words. That one who knows my name, no matter what I've done or who I am, where I've come from. That love, that connection, it leads to abundant life, exuberant life, and it is not just a figure of speech. When I allow myself fully realize and remember who I am because of who the I am is. This text reminds me, it's not about me. It's about God. The Lord is my shepherd. And that's my greatest strength. Amen.